Welcome to the Uncaged podcast. I'm Andy. I'll be your host as we talk about all things mindset, motivation, and becoming the version of ourselves we truly desire to become. In a world where there's more fake people than there is real, all because we want to fit in and not be judged and be seen as someone that has it all figured out, this is something that I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the underlying anxieties that lead to these fake masks that we wear, all just to fit in. The points I want to cover today are going to be about comparison and the comparison game that we play with the people we see around us, and the underlying anxiety and also the fake mask that we wear that isn't us. And I want to answer the question of how we overcome this. So we no longer have the worry of judgment from others, and also be able to take control consciously, living our life without the fear of how we're seen in others' eyes. Because when you are yourself, you're free. You're no longer wearing this mask, and you are just being who you are. Because in the end, who are you being? Who are you being if you're not yourself? Sometimes that can lead to many, many downfalls. If you're not being who you are and you live your life, when you finally try to be yourself, the people that are so used to that other version of you, they're going to be a bit confused. They're not going to be very happy with your change because they're used to your old ways. They're used to the masked version of yourself. To live life on your terms without question, without judgment, without the fear that someone's not going to be happy that you're living your life, we need to first overcome the chatter in our mind. And this goes back to the previous episodes of me talking about centering yourself, learning to slow those crazy thoughts down, and also understand where all of it comes from in the first place. We all have an ego. The ego in us is like the little devil on our shoulders, wanting to perpetuate the same old, which is why it's so hard to change once you've been away for so long. If you have anxiety, if you overanalyze, if you're being someone who wears that fake mask just to be in society and to look to be accepted, my question to you is, who are you being? Who would you be if you no longer had the anxiety, no longer overanalyzed every situation, and no longer wore the mask? Who would you be? Because that's who we need to bring forward in your life. And I want you to imagine and entertain the idea that it's possible. And I want you to picture what life would be like. What would life be like if you no longer analyzed everything, had the anxiety, and wore the mask? How different would you be? Would you take risks? Would you start that new adventure? Would you start the business? Would you talk to that random person? Make eye contact for longer? Whatever it is. Entertain these ideas, because the more that you can picture how life would be different, this is going to be your motivation on going for it. Because in the end, if you're not happy with how things are in your life, it's not your life that needs to change. It is how you operate in your life. It is these habits, these underlying things that keep us these ways. But when we have the tools, like I've explained in the previous episodes, and I'll touch on some more today, where you can start to intercept and make those changes in the hardwiring of your brain, so that then you can think differently, act differently, feel different. Because in the end, you're going to stay the same otherwise. And when we stay the same for too long, we start to settle and stay on that level, wondering why we are this way, and we fall into these victim mindsets. It's too common these days for people to just settle in these victim mindsets. It's too hard. I'm not worthy, and I'm just not going to be able to do it. Sorry, I have to be this way now. It's wrong. I'm telling you right now, I used to be that person that was so insecure not confident, worried, overanalyzed, was a liar, fake in my character. I used to wear the mask, all because I just wanted to fit in. I didn't want people to see me as I felt, because I felt like I was unworthy. I felt like I didn't fit in, and I felt like I was different from everybody else. But I know for a fact we all have the opportunity to be exactly who we are and to live the life that we want to live. But first, we need to recognize that it is possible to change. And when you're on that journey and you're pushing through, intercepting the old way that you no longer tolerate within yourself, and you begin the process of living that life, walking that life, you're always going to be met with scenarios and situations that want that old life to pop back up. And that is where you step in with conscious will and no longer allow it to do that old program for you, because you've been working hard and intercepting it. And the longer that you keep intercepting, you rewire the habit, like I've said in the previous episodes. And eventually it becomes the new unconscious program. But you have to stay with it. You can't just hit a resistant wall and fail at something and go, sorry, I'm overanalyzing now. I've got to be the victim. I have to stay the exact same. It is not the case. If you never give up, it is guaranteed that you're going to change. But you have to never give up. Now, I know this sounds cliche, but if you don't give up, it is a guarantee. If you don't stop trying, it is a guarantee. When you quit, everything stops and you're back to square one. I had this conversation with a client this morning. If you're going to be met with resistance, you have a question that you need to answer. You need to sit there and go, am I going to stop right now? And then just leave that task, leave that gym session or gym routine, that healthy lifestyle that I really wanted, because for that moment I felt good and I wanted it. But now I'm just going to throw it all away, go back to square one? Or are you going to understand that in those moments where you fail or are met with resistance or anxiety or you're feeling low, are you going to step back up and change that momentum, change how you feel inside, and no longer allow that to be ran in your system and who you are, and let it ripple into all of your actions and your words and your experience every day? And I know I touch on similar topics each episode, but they all tie in. In the end, the goal, the reason why I'm doing all of this, is because I have experienced that change. And I want that for everybody else. I want this to reach as many people as possible because I know it works and it is incredible. And when you have small understandings about these habits, how to intercept it, to never give up, have resilience and consistency, it occurs and you get it. And you no longer have to wait or believe that it's impossible for you. So hear these words, allow them to go in your mind, and I hope it plants a seed of inspiration for you to give it a go and to really try. Because the longer that you don't settle, you're settling for that life that you know you don't want to live. I'm telling you right now, you don't have to. So to get into the information here on analyzing too much in your situations where it ends up leading to anxiety and sometimes even a feeling that you have to be this person that you're not and wear a mask just to fit in. We need to first acknowledge the fact that we are acting that way and that we know that there's a better life. And remember, when we allow these things to take over us and we continue being that way, how many opportunities do we miss? How many experiences do we no longer get the chance to live in those moments? There's a positive though. There's a new moment. There's new opportunities. There's a new experience to be lived. And it is your choice for you to stop, recognize these opportunities and experiences we could be living, and take the risk. No longer live by these feelings of anxiety and analyze. And when it comes to anxiety, I have this analogy that I use with clients, and I also use it myself. When we've got anxiety, we're looking too broad. We're looking too expanded, and we're also possibly in those moments looking too narrow. And we get stuck in either one of those focuses. We're either picking up too much detail, or we're feeling trapped because all we can see is that one thing. And we don't see the way out. Now, learning, like a flashlight beams outward, and you pick up the detail everywhere within that shine of light. And with a laser pointer, it's pinpoint. You're going to pick up one thing, right where that dot is. Now, being able to expand from a laser point to a torchlight, you're going to be able to have control over how much you focus that. Exercising that broadness and focus is absolutely key when it comes to being able to change that. Because otherwise, you're going to be stuck and locked into one of those, and it's not going to help you. You're not going to have the tools to be able to change it when you start to overanalyze, when you start to focus on one thing that you feel stuck on, or you're picking up too much detail, and it's not going to change. And the only reason why we hold on to those things is because somewhere within us that we need to become aware of is that we feel like it's giving us comfort and that we're better off staying that way. Now, isn't it a contradiction when you feel like you want to change it and you don't want to be that anymore, you don't want to experience that feeling anymore, but then the other voice inside you says, oh, but you need it. You need to stay there because it's safer. It's safer to stay there in that discomfort because who knows what might happen? Who knows what might happen if you venture away from that thing that you've always known? Something might happen. You might die. Something terrible might happen. Wrong. Those thoughts and feelings come up when the unknown approaches, when you no longer can predict your future, the next thing that occurs. And if you can break through that, the best way, as we've all heard this before, the best way to predict your future is to create it yourself. And you have the ability with your mind to visualize, to think about where you'd rather be, to plan it, and to execute the steps to get there. So if you want to end your anxiety, if you no longer want to wear the mask, if you no longer want to feel unworthy, you have the power to change all of those things, all from focusing on the opposite that you have been focusing on. You're focusing on anxiety. Focus on being relaxed. Make the time. If you don't make the time, know that you're going to be stuck doing the same thing over and over again. Make the time to look at it a different way. Now, in this situation, it is the exact same as when you go into a training session with the mindset. You know going into it, you've got the fire in your belly because you know you want to change. You're going to push yourself and you're going to break the mold and challenge the boundaries that was previously set. It's the same with this when you're trying to overcome anxiety, when you're trying to change that mask that you wear and be more of yourself, no longer analyze and change these factors about you. You're going to have to go into it knowing that when resistance hits, because it will, because you're going up against a program that's been running for so long, you have to intercept it and be at the ready. And when that comes up, you're not going to quit. You don't just settle. You go forward, you keep pushing forward and no longer giving up. As soon as you do that, you break through the threshold and you begin rewiring yourself to not be the quitter, to not just shy away because you felt uncomfortable. Sitting in the discomfort and understanding that it's just a signal of change. That's all you have to do. And if you can begin exercising that mental will to never give up, life gets exciting. And training is that perfect practice ground for that, like I've said in the last episode. But when it comes to the mind, it's not tangible. It's in here, in your mind. So being able to stay at your mind and go up against those programs so you can rewrite them and become who you want to be is very important. So take the chance. Take the chance for yourself. Everyone that's around you will benefit from you being who you are and stepping into that path that excites you, makes you get up with a spring in your step, and you're no longer that negative person all the time. Now, if you're watching this right now, I know that there's something in you that wants to change, and you want to change it, and maybe you just lacked some information or a step to go and do it yourself. And I know that feeling too, but I'm telling you right now, there's plenty of information in these episodes that get you there, so you don't have to be stuck. Don't feel defeated. Don't allow that situation, that moment, that one moment, to just lower everything to do with your energy and it to ripple into your actions and how you think and feel. Don't allow that to beat you, because I'm telling you right now, it's only a moment. Right now is a moment, there's another moment gone, and that next moment you experience, you can choose. You can choose to make a change, but it begins with that starting point, like I've said before. And if you can decide that you're no longer going to entertain the negativity when it comes in your life, when you decide that you're going to make the change and bring the positive in your mind and in your life, everything starts to change. You'll find that things start to just happen around you. You'll find that opportunities present themselves, situations occur, people come into your life, all because you stopped focusing on the negative and you started to focus on the positive. Because as we know now, as we act a certain way, we are reinforcing the habit as our body is listening to store the habit to start to just perpetuate that same experience over and over again. So when negative situations come in your life or you begin to feel and think negative, know that if you entertain it, stay with it, reinforce it, that experience is being wired into you so that you can continue feeling that same way. So it is paramount on changing that and bringing the positive into your life. So doesn't it make sense in those moments to have certain tools that you can lean on, that you can trust and know that it works? And when you really give it a go and you finally experience that it does work, you'll always trust it and know that it's always on you and it's always your duty because you're always in control. You're never not in control, but it is a choice of free will whether you're going to stay with the same negative and perpetuate it and allow the idea, the attraction of being a victim because of the attention that it gives you to stay like that, or you're going to completely let it go and start the new journey of positivity and allowing that to be programmed into you so you can perpetuate that rather than the negative. The positive leads to opportunity. The negative leads to opportunity too, but you're going to get negative situations and opportunities. Now, I don't recommend it, but if you start to bring in the positive and the positive opportunities come in, they can change everything to the direction that you want to be going in. That works for you, that's unique for you, how you want to be experiencing life, how you want to be, feel, and act. But you've got to do the conscious work to do that. I believe anxiety happens when you feel trapped, when you feel like there's no way out, where you're stuck, where you feel like you're being smothered and there's just nowhere to go other than feel that feeling. But I'm telling you, you can change it with your power of your mind because you are powerful. Everybody is. A lot of my past anxiety was due to exactly what I've just spoken about. A lot of my negativity and feeling low in my energy and I just couldn't be bothered. I was exhausted. I just didn't want to do it anymore. And I see this in others, But a lot of it was because I was perpetuating and I was constantly reinforcing the negative every time it came up in my life. I'd focus on it, I'd dwell in it, and I'd expand it to be something ginormous. When in reality, it wasn't big at all. It was all because I was shining that light on it and I was focused on it. And at times I was pointing that laser pointer on it like it was my only thing I was experiencing. So how do you think that I was going to act? I was going to walk around in my day and go, nope, not doing that. No, I'm definitely not worthy of that. Well, there's a crowd. There's a crowd of people over there in a new experience. I might just talk my way out of it, and I'm not going to go over there because, number one, I don't feel worthy, and I'm not worthy, and I'm gonna stick with my anxiety and go into solitude because, you know what, I need to get away from this situation because I'm uncomfortable. You can tell where that leads. The same old, and you're not going to be living your life or being able to scoop up those opportunities that present themselves. And do you want to know when it all changed for me? It was when I finally got sick of that. I was sick of feeling down. I was sick of feeling like just the smallest little inconveniences would bother me. I'd get stressed and worked up. I've overanalyzed to the point where it was massive in my mind and stressed. Mate, we know stress in a prolonged state rises cortisol, and that's toxic to your body. The longer that we stay in the negative stress state, it is not good for your health. So thinking about all of this back then for me, I knew that before that could take place in manifesting something negative like a disease or illness or sickness in my body, I wasn't going to wait for that. I didn't want to wait for some catastrophe or some accident, all because I was focused on the stress and constantly reinforcing it. I wanted to take control. This is what I want to push forward for you today. Take control, because you can. Begin to recognize that you have these things that you're constantly experiencing. And ask yourself, if it's possible, are you going to stay there, or are you going to go with the possibility that it could change? Are you going to settle, or are you going to push forward and work hard at your life? Like anything, you've got to work at it. You have to be going in that direction, putting energy towards it. And the beauty of our awareness, we can direct it. It is always our choice. You can label it whatever you want, but it is our duty to direct our own awareness and focus it where we want it to go. And remember, those habits can lead us to focus on the negative. Recognize it, intercept it, change it. Every time you experience negativity and you go, oh shit, look at that, I'm stuck in the negative. No worries. Fantastic. I've just caught you in the act. Let's change that wiring with our awareness and our focus. I'm going to focus on the good. I'm going to focus on the positive. I want to feel loving and I want to feel love. I want to feel energized. What if you could program feeling energized into your body just by focusing on feeling energized? How does it feel? I bet it feels amazing. I bet it feels like you have this superpower that you just could do anything. If you focus like that, you're in that experience. When you live it here, you live it everywhere else within you and outside of you. Your world changes all because you're focusing on the good rather than the negative. You're rewiring it. So, take note of the experiences that you find most challenging and challenge yourself. Change your perspective of those things. Play games. Entertain new ideas about those things. Rewrite the story of those experiences and go into it with those new written experience and stories. Rewrite it. Create a new experience. Go into it and look at it for what it is. A new opportunity to either learn or experience. No longer allowing yourself to feel prisoned in your mind, stuck in a negative state, feeling like you need something external to fix it all when you've got the power. I'll argue this to the end. because I didn't think I was going to get out of my state of negativity and depression and the feeling like I was just stuck and it was going to get worse and that there was no way out. I believed that back then. And all it took was one experience. One experience. That's all it took. And everything changed because I saw a glimpse of what it was like to no longer feel so low in my energy and to be lifted to this whole new energy where anything was possible as long as I put my focus on it happening. And that is the key. If you're perpetuating the idea that these things will never occur for you, there you go. You're going to be stuck having that same old, same old. You're going to be having to wear that mask because you feel like you're unworthy. Intercept that. I'm worthy because I'm going to learn. I'm going to pay attention, and I'm just going to do my best because that's all you can do. And the more you do it, you get better, like anything else. And things start to change. If you've got anxiety, change your perspective. Take a look at it. See it for what it is. I'm going to learn. I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to experience it to its fullest. Take in everything that I get. And I'm just going to be myself. Because being yourself is when there's no condition. Being yourself, there's no expectation. You're just being there. Taking it in the experience. Not trying to compensate because you might feel uncomfortable in a moment. You know what uncomfortable feels like if you've been negative before. It's not nice. That doesn't mean that you need to allow the feeling of being uncomfortable to manifest into your actions and your words and how you feel. You get to change it all by changing your perspective about it. So to the listener who's listening to this, do it. Go and do it. Make that change. You're destined to do it. You can't hold off forever because it's just going to be bugging you. It's going to be always reminding you somewhere in there. And the longer you leave it, the worse you're going to feel. So start right now and go and venture down that road of possibility. Create that road. Build the life that you want and experience it to its fullest because you've got the tools now. It's time to do it. Overcome all of these limitations. It is your turn. Game on. I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for listening.